नमस्कार दोस्तों, वेलकम टू लाइफ एक्सप्रेस वेयर देयर इज नो ड्रामा, नो फेक, ओनली फैक्ट्स टू कीप यू अवेक। जी हाँ, सही सुना आपने। लाइफ एक्सप्रेस एक ऐसी दुनिया है, एक ऐसा एकेडमिक प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां हम बेमतलब की बातें नहीं करते, क्योंकि यहाँ बातें होती है सिर्फ रियल लाइफ के, रियल लोगों के, रियल अचीवमेंट्स की, और बातें होती है रियल नॉलेज की अंडर भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा, जिसकी बुनियाद वसुधैव कुटुंबकम पर आधारित है। वसुधैव कुटुंबकम यानी द होल वर्ल्ड इज आवर फैमिली। भले ही वसुधैव कुटुंबकम और अतिथि देवो भव का पालन करते करते हिंदुस्तान को भारी नुकसान उठाना पड़ा, लेकिन आज हर भारतीय को ये कहते हुए काफी गर्व होता है कि भारत एक ऐसा देश है जिसने आज तक ना ही किसी पे आक्रमण किया और ना ही किसी पे राज किया। हाँ, हमने पूरी दुनिया पे राज किया, लेकिन उनके अधिकार, अस्तित्व एवं संस्कृति को छीन कर नहीं, बल्कि उनके दिलों पर राज किया, अपनी प्राचीन सभ्यता एवं संस्कृति और फिलॉसफी की खुशबू बिखेर कर। इसी भारतीय परंपरा को आगे बढ़ाते हुए लाइफ एक्सप्रेस अपने मिशन पे आप सभी के सहयोग से आगे बढ़ रही है, जिसमें मेरा यही प्रयास है कि भारतीय संस्कृति एवं ज्ञान प्रणाली का समुचित अध्ययन कर उसके भाव को, उसमें निहित संदेश को आपके सामने, वर्ल्ड सोसाइटी के सामने प्रस्तुत करूं, क्योंकि आज पूरी दुनिया में एक नहीं कई कारणों से अनेक प्रकार के संकट के बादल मंडरा रहे हैं। खूनी युद्ध चल रहे हैं परिवार में, समाज में, राष्ट्र में और पूरे विश्व में। पूरी दुनिया आज एक सोसाइटल मॉडल ऑफ लिविंग ढूंढ रही है, जिसे अपनाकर वो शांति और सौहार्द के साथ जी सके। लेकिन अफसोस, दुनिया के पास ऐसा कोई मॉडल नहीं है। लेकिन चिंता की कोई बात नहीं है, क्योंकि भारत के पास ऐसा सोसाइटल मॉडल ऑफ लिविंग है जिसे अपनाकर हम पूरे विश्व में शांति और उन्नति का मार्ग प्रशस्त कर सकते हैं। और उसी मॉडल को हम आज भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा के रूप में देख रहे हैं। तो चलते हैं कार्यक्रम के अगले सेगमेंट हॉल ऑफ फेम की ओर, जहां हम मिलेंगे एक ऐसी शख्सियत से जो वाकई समाज के लिए एक रियल रोल मॉडल हैं, अपने उत्कृष्ट एवं सराहनीय कार्यों के चलते। लेकिन हम में से अधिकांश लोग उनकी उपलब्धि या अचीवमेंट से आज भी बेखबर हैं। नमस्कार दोस्तों, आज के हॉल ऑफ फेम में हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान हैं, जिनके जीवन से जुड़े कई रोचक तथ्य हैं। इससे पहले कि हम उन रोचक तथ्यों को जाने उन्हीं की जुबानी, मैं चाहूंगा कि सबसे पहले मैं आपको अपने विशेष अतिथि का एक संक्षिप्त परिचय दे दूं। वैसे तो हमारे आज के विशेष अतिथि किसी परिचय या पहचान के मोहताज नहीं हैं, लेकिन औपचारिकता का निर्वहन करते हुए मैं उनका संक्षिप्त परिचय आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत करना चाहूंगा। लाइफ एक्सप्रेस के इस हफ्ते के हॉल ऑफ फेम में हमारे साथ जो विशेष अतिथि हमारे साथ ऑनलाइन जुड़े हैं, वे हैं अ रिनाउंड लिंग्विस्ट प्रोफेसर उदय नारायण सिंह। प्रोफेसर सिंह का जन्म 23 नवंबर 1951 को पश्चिम बंगाल की राजधानी कोलकाता के एक शिक्षित परिवार में हुआ था। बचपन से ही अपनी विलक्षण प्रतिभा एवं उत्कृष्ट कार्यों के बदौलत उन्होंने समाज में अपनी एक अलग पहचान बना ली थी। यदि हम उनके शैक्षणिक जीवन पर प्रकाश डालें तो हम पाते हैं कि उन्होंने अपनी प्रारंभिक, माध्यमिक तथा उच्च शिक्षा अव्वल दर्जे से सफलतापूर्वक पूरी की। In his illustrious career of more than 4 decades, Professor Singh has held several dignified positions. Some of the important ones are Director of CIIL, Mysore, under Ministry of HRD, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Vishwabharati Santiniketan. More importantly, Professor Singh has taught in several premier institutions of India like University of Hyderabad, University of Delhi, South Gujarat University, MSU Baroda, etc. And at present, he is serving world's largest education network, Amity Universe, in the capacity of Chair Professor and Dean, Faculty of Arts at Amity University, Haryana. It is imperative to mention here that Professor Singh has also taught internationally as adjunct faculty in several premier institutions of high repute in countries like Australia, Andorra, Bangladesh, Belgium, Caribbean islands, China, France, Germany, Iceland, Italy, Japan, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Singapore, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Thailand, UK, and the USA. Along with his relentless pursuit of excellence in academia, Professor Singh has also published 8 collections of poems in Maithili and Bangla, 6 books of essays, 14 plays, and published over 300 research papers in international and national journals and books, and created 545 documentaries on the language, literature, and culture of Bangla, Tamil, Kannada, and Marathi. He was also a poet invitee at the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2006, London Book Fair 2019, and leader of cultural delegation of writers to China in 2007. And I should not forget to add that Professor Singh has been felicitated by several awards and recognitions at national and international levels. Some of the prominent ones are Sir Ganganath Jha Memorial Award in 2016 for contributions to Maithili literature, the Jyotirishwar Samman 2016 for lifetime contribution to Maithili theatre, Mithila Vibhuti Samman, etc. And more importantly, he received the coveted Sahit Academy Award in 2017 for poetry in Maithili titled Jahlak Diary. Thus, there are so many achievements and recognitions to his name, and to know more about Professor Singh, I shall take you straight to him. And join me in welcoming a renowned linguist, poet, actor, and a great thinker, Paramadarni Professor Dr. Shri Uday Narayan Singh ji.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
First of all, on behalf of my entire Life Express team and on behalf of my intellectual viewers, I extend a very warm welcome and sincere gratitude to you for your gracious presence in Life Express.
Thank you.
सर, आपके प्रोफाइल को देखने के बाद पता चलता है कि आप एक सामान्य पृष्ठभूमि से उठकर अपनी कड़ी मेहनत व लगन से अपने आप को एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय ख्याति के लिंग्विस्ट या भाषाविद के रूप में स्थापित आपने किया है. And more importantly, you have not only served linguistic communities in different capacities, but I can say you have also been privileged or fortunate enough to live linguistics and different languages. आपने एक नहीं कई भारतीय भाषाओं को मैं कह सकता हूं आपने जिया है. So starting our today's interaction, not only I, rather all our intellectual viewers would like to know first कैसे हुआ ये सब, कैसे आपका आकर्षण भाषा की तरफ पहली बार हुआ. साथ में आप ये भी बताएं कि क्या है आपके जीवन के गाइडिंग प्रिंसिपल्स या ड्राइविंग फोर्स. ओवर टू यू सर.
मुझे आश्चर्य लगता था बचपन में जब मेरी दादी माँ, जो कि मिथिला से है, वो बिल्कुल शुद्ध बंगला में कृत्तिवास रामायण, काशीराम दास महाभारत पढ़ती रहती थी. तो मैं सोचता था कि ये कैसे संभव है। ये भी पता चला कि उनको तिरुता लिपि भी आती है, उनको कैथी लिपि भी आती है। तो दादी से तो ये हमने देखा कि भाषा एक ऐसी चीज है जो कि बहता नदी की तरह है, और जिसको पकड़ना और जिसमें हेलना, जिसमें तैरना, वो आपका काम है कि आप कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते। दूसरी बात ये, मैंने पिताजी को देखा है, पढ़ाते तो थे हिंदी भाषा साहित्य कलकत्ता विश्वविद्यालय में, लेकिन बचपन में उन्होंने उर्दू सीखी। बगल के गांव में जाके एक मुसलमान दर्जी थे, और जो कि काफी पढ़े लिखे में और शेर और शायरी में बहुत मसरूफ थे, तो उनसे जाके उर्दू सीखी उन्होंने। संस्कृत में उन्होंने बी ऑनर्स किया, और उसके बाद में उन्होंने सीखी पाली, जिसमें कि उन्होंने एडिशनल एमए किया। फिर पर्शियन सीखी, और जब उनका देहांत होने था उससे 2-4 साल पहले वो अरबी सीख रहे थे। तो मैंने बचपन से ये देखा कि हमारे घर में एक भाषा का माहौल बना हुआ है, और ये प्रेरणा हमारे लिए प्रेरणा स्रोत जैसे इसने काम किया। तो ये कारण तो ये है कि बहुभाषी परिवार में जन्म हुआ, और माँ तो बंगाल की थी, हालांकि अभी जो बांग्लादेश में है, मैमन सिंह ढाका के पास में, वहां से बिलोंग करती थी। लेकिन माँ को भी देखा कि उनका जन्म बंबई में हुआ, और वो कम से कम पटना, दिल्ली, चंडीगढ़, आगरा, मेरठ हर जगह रही, और अंत में आके उन्होंने हिंदी साहित्य में एमए किया। बंगाल की है लेकिन हिंदी साहित्य में एमए किया, और पीएचडी किया मैथिली फोकलोर के ऊपर में। तो मुझे, आप अगर ये बैकग्राउंड देखे दादी जी से माँ की तरफ, तो ये स्वाभाविक है कि भाषा में हमारी रुचि होगी। एक तो कारण ये है। दूसरा ये है कि बचपन में हमको पिताजी वहां ले जाते थे जहां जहां सुनीति कुमार चैटर्जी अलग अलग भाषाओं में लेक्चर देते थे। आपको पता ही है, चैटर्जी 35 भाषा के ज्ञानी थे, और उन्होंने चंदन नगर में फ्रेंच में लेक्चर दिया, कहीं और संस्कृत में लेक्चर दिया। हर जगह हमको पिताजी ले जाते थे कि आप सुनिए उनको। तो हमारे लिए चैटर्जी एक मॉडल थे। That is how one should be if one wants to be a linguist. So these are the reasons, these are the background why I came into linguistics.
Great, great.
As far as guiding principles are concerned, I would only say that for me, from childhood days, creative writing and critical analysis, these two went hand in hand. For every situation, every story, every individual, every text should be viewed both in a creative manner and from a critical angle. How can we combine these two? This was the main challenge for me. So you can say that is my guiding.
Great, great. बिल्कुल हम समझ सकते हैं कि पूरी तरह से आपको एक परिवार में ही एक लिंग्विस्टिक एनवायरनमेंट जो होना चाहिए, मतलब वो आपको विरासत में मिली। बहुत ही सौभाग्यशाली हैं आप सर, सचमुच।
जी।
Great, great. Well, moving further, now I would like to know from you first of all, but what language is for you? Because many a time, language simply is means of expressing your thoughts by means of speech sounds or written symbols. Language is something which is beyond comprehension. I feel so, because if language itself dies, language also kills. By saying so, I mean, see, if you see in many parts of the world, many of us are being killed because of speaking any particular language. So why this kind of hatred? Because I have seen in many countries also, and I have experienced that a monolingual country is more peaceful compared to a multilingual or multilingual country. तो ये सब कई चीजें आती हैं जो कि मन में बहुत बड़ा सवाल खड़ा करती है। तो यहाँ हम जानना ये चाहेंगे कि भाषा अपने मूल स्वरूप में है क्या आपके लिए? कैसे आप देखते हैं भाषा? जी।
Let me take your statement. A monolingual country is more peaceful than a multilingual country. Take that first to start with. I think this is true and untrue both, because if you think of a position which will say that one country, one language, one flag, one kind of dress, one kind of food habit, everything mono is fantastic idea. I would also say that's a very boring place to live in because you need to have so many different kinds of cuisine, so many different kinds of dress, so many different kinds of dance and culture, different kinds of different trends and traditions of music, and also different languages to be able to think in a very creative, constructive, and multiistic way. So that is a point of debate. It can be a lot of debate on whether this is true because in 1970s, some linguists actually told us that you will never be able to develop in India because you are a multilingual country. You will never be able to be so creative as in Europe because you are a multilingual country. So there was a lot of debate following that particular kind of statement in sociolinguistics. So that's one thing. But you are right that language kills as well as language unites. Both are possible. It depends on how exactly we behave in a multilingual and pluricultural situation. Because there are situations where the major languages, particularly huge languages like English or French or German or Spanish or Hindi, they have been accused of killing other smaller languages. But on the other hand, it is also true that if you look at the Hispanic literature in 23, 22 Latin American countries, if you look at the huge francophone world of literature in Africa, in Canada, in different parts of the world, Mauritius, different parts of the world, you would see that there's also been a lot of interesting writing that has come up from the francophone background of different types. Something which mixes with Swahili, something which mixes with Hausa, sometimes it's with Malagasy, because in Madagascar Island also the official language or literary language is French. So this is also true that there have been, as Braj Katru was used to say, there have been world Englishes. In fact, I asked him once, Sir, you have kept your journal name as World Englishes. Why so? Because Englishes is not a normal grammatical English. He said, well, I did it on intention because I think there are many, many kinds of Englishes that are available. So I think this is true of Hindi as well. 49 varieties of Hindi have only enriched Hindi. They have not really weakened Hindi, I would say. So this is very crucial that language can also be a force that will unite a nation, and language can also be a force, if used or misused, which will kill many other kind of creativity in other languages.
But my concern was, more from, societal perspective. It's not just a matter of dominance of one language on another. Rather, by killing, literally, I can give you many examples, and it has happened in the past. I have been in Maharashtra. I have been to Assam. Why? Why a North Indian is being, looked down upon by Marathis if he or she doesn't speak, Marathi? Why a Bihari is, if he or she is unable to speak Assamese in Assam, why he or she gets harassed? So this kind of discrimination is a big concern. Yeah. So what kind of message would you like to convey over here to society?
Well, I think this is a very crucial point that you have raised. That is the issue of linguistic tolerance and linguistic intolerance.
Right.
I think there was a particular point of time, if we read Bhanubhat ki Atmakatha, and if we look at the way Dwivedi ji had painted the medieval Indian scenario, particularly scenario of Bihar at that particular point of time, where people speaking so many different kind of languages were all welcome and were all incorporated and all assimilated into the greater notion of what is Bihar. Basically, it is a dharmasthala. It's just a Bihar where you would learn, you will not only learn to live, because Viharati is also living, staying. It's also a place where you would learn to contemplate the higher order, because if in Nalanda, Vikramshila, with all those kind of backgrounds, you would see that there was a very interesting uh, lesson for tolerance. Now, that tolerance has been of late missing in some parts of India. I will not blame only Maharashtra or Assam. I would say that this is true of uh, uh, some places in other places of North India as well as in South India, where tolerating the other language speakers is becoming an issue. At the same time, we also have places like Kasargod, where you have 4 or 5 languages being spoken very naturally by almost everybody. You have places like Goa, which is house for Marathi, for Konkani, for Kannada, various other languages. So there are places where you have, uh, you know, even Bombay. I would say that it is true that there has been some instances of intolerance shown by the local people, but it is also a situation where if you look at the theater in Maharashtra, films in Maharashtra, the literature of Marathi, which also talks about integrating different languages and people. So, it's a kind of mixed situation in India, and this is true elsewhere as well.
Nice. So further to your, this deliberation, I'll take you to one more pertinent question. As we know, India is a hotspot of linguistic diversity, but it is also a region where a significant number of languages are facing the threat of extinction, or I can say silent extinction. Considering that, what, according to you, are the primary socio-economic and political factors contributing to language endangerment in India? So, from remedial perspective, did you make any efforts, or is there any language revitalization project in true sense to preserve and document vanishing or endangered languages? Over to you, sir.
Well, if you have a tool which you don't use for a long time, it gets rusted. So if you have a language which you don't use in market, it doesn't work. You cannot have the language only in your family and expect that that language will survive for a long, long time. That language has to be used in education, language has to be used in marketplace for doing trade and commerce. The market must be used in the banking sector. It has to be used on the internet. All the different domains of use of language. If you look at the domains, you will find there are about 90 different domains that are stated for language use. So if a language slowly slips down from 90 domains, it is get restricted to only 18, 20 domains. Automatically, the danger signal is on. So the endangerment has direct connection with the marketability of a language. It's a very important point. Do your language books sell? If you look at 24 different languages in which Sahitya Academy gives award, you would easily find there are 8 or 9 which are on top, because they are doing very well in terms of marketing, in terms of filmmaking, music industry, literature, book sales, and use of them in the bank, commerce offices, and official noting, etc., etc. There are 8 others which are somewhere in between. And then there are 8 others which are newcomers, which are trying to struggle and get crash into higher language use. In India, the situation is like that. And if you look at this, there are 3 layers already created as far as languages are concerned. Now, if you talk about the language endangerment, the biggest problem that we have noticed from 2009 UNESCO Atlas, which has actually put us in the category of the biggest offenders, because 192 are languages which are endangered in USA and 196 languages are endangered in India. This is the figure which has come out from UNESCO World Atlas. So we naturally took a lot of beating from the world community, because we were earlier singing a song that we are the most tolerant people, etc., etc. But when India was projected by UNESCO like that, then the government had to take note and initiate many language revitalization projects. One of them is called SPPEL, Scheme for Protection and Promotion of Endangered Languages, which has been undertaken by the Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore. The other is called CFEL project, Center for Indian Languages project, which was begun by the UGC. Kapila Vatsayanji was the chairperson of the committee, special committee which UGC set up, and I was the member secretary. And we granted huge amount of money to 9 central universities and 16 state universities to start 25 departments of CFEL, Center for Endangered Languages. Thirdly, the Census of India, which also had a language division, started a new project called MTSI, Mother Tongue Survey of India. What has happened is that if you look at the census, they say that there are 1796 other mother tongues and 1352 mother tongues. This is the total picture of India. So what are these other mother tongues? Nobody knows because there has been no study. So somehow we were able to impress upon the Home Minister, then Home Minister, that, sir, we need to have a project, special project, to find out more about these other mother tongues so that they don't disappear, they don't die out. So MTSI is another project which was begun by them. Like this, there have been many, many initiatives taken up by the government, some by the private agencies as well, which have been working on language endangerment issues.
But then I'm more concerned about, revitalization, क्योंकि ऐसा लगता है कि accept the life the way it comes. मतलब थोड़ा हमें, मतलब जो endangered मतलब हो रहे हैं, सपोज आप संस्कृत की ही बात करें, तो आज किसी भी प्रकार का मैं नहीं देख रहा हूं कि कोई ऐसा मतलब ठोस प्रयास हो रहे हैं इसको रिवाइटलाइज करने के लिए. तो इसको लेकर के बड़ी एक चिंता बनी हुई है, एंड आई डोंट नो व्हाट गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग ऑन दिस फ्रंट, लिंग्विस्टिक फ्रंट. उसकी जानकारी मुझे है नहीं, बट इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ ग्रेव कंसर्न कि जो भाषा पूरे ब्रह्मांड में बोली जाती थी आज वो लुप्त होने के कगार पर है. क्यों है इसके लिए आई डोंट नो हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल एंड व्हाट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल. वो एक बहुत बड़ा एक अलग से विवाद का विषय है, एक अलग से हम चर्चा करेंगे उस पर कभी. लेकिन यहाँ पे मैं ये जरा, चूंकि आपने कुछ अच्छी चीजें भी गिनाई अभी इंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेजेस को प्रिजर्व करने के लिए, तो मैं उसी से संबंधित में एक और प्रश्न मेरा यहाँ पे ये है कि डू यू थिंक contributions of Indian linguists to world linguistic community are really significant? If yes, how? And if not, why? Over to you, sir.
Well, I think they're significant because the social history of linguistic studies in India has not yet been written. So therefore, it is very difficult or early for me to comment on whose contributions have been more important than others. But there have been some linguists who have been very significant. And I would say that even theories like Chomskyan theory of generative grammar or transformational generative grammar wouldn't have come into the picture if there was no Panini, if there was no Katyayana, if there was no Bhartrihari. And both Chomsky, Kiparsky, George Cardona, everybody actually links up with the Sanskrit grammatical tradition and say that what we are doing today in modern linguistics, in theoretical linguistics, we owe a lot to the initial works of Panini and other great scholars. Even among the modern linguists, as you know, Suniti Kumar Chatterjee was president of the International Phonetics Association for more than 2 decades. So after Daniel Jones, if anybody has had tremendous influence on phonetics and recording, it is Suniti Kumar Chatterjee, no doubt about that. Similarly, there have been very interesting contributions by Sukumar Sen in this area, because what we thought was impossible to connect between India and the rest of the world, he made those impossible connections possible and came up with a lot of interesting theories. There have been also great scholars like Badriraju Krishnamurti, who's a student of Murray B. Emino. As you know, Murray Emino is famous for the theory of India as a linguistic area. The thousands of years of living together made India or Indian languages more like each other. And that's a lot of give and take between languages in the south, languages in the north, of the east, of the west, etc. And that's a very interesting concept that he brought in. Krishnamurti was one who delved deeper into that, and that contribution has really impacted what is called areal linguistics in the world today. Among the sociolinguists, I would say Prabodh Pandit was a great, and his students and his followers like Anvita P, who worked on endangered languages, Ramakant Agnihotri, who worked on language teaching, testing, and also language and society issues. They have also been doing great work, which have been making a lot of impact on the world linguistic scenario. Other than that, I think D.P. Patnaik's work, Anna Malai's work are also very crucial. So there have been more or less a lot of good linguists who have made significant contributions in the world. So that is there, no doubt.
So now समय की थोड़ी मर्यादा है, तो मैं बहुत ही एक बेसिक सवाल के साथ we will conclude this session. Further to your reflection, what you have said, I totally agree with you that we have made significant contributions. लेकिन ठीक है, इंडियन लिंग्विस्ट्स ने जो भी किया है, लेकिन फिर वही बात आ जाती कि इंडियन लिंग्विस्टिक्स में क्या हुआ, क्योंकि हमने बाहर वेस्ट के थियरीज को, अप्रोचेस को ज्यादा हम गॉड नोज व्हाई दे फैसिनेटेड अस, लेकिन वो कमी रह गई कि हमारे अपने जो इंडिजिनस फिलॉसफीज थे, लैंग्वेज के थियरीज थे, उसका प्रचार प्रसार बहुत ही कम हुआ. लेकिन अभी मैं उस पर नहीं जाना चाहूंगा. अभी मैं एक बहुत ही बुनियादी सवाल आपसे करके इस सेशन को हम एंड करेंगे. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू पोज 3 क्वेश्चंस इन अ वेरी कंबाइंड मैनर. As we are in an academic setup, it is desirable to ask you few basic questions in one go. First, what the study of linguistics is all about. क्योंकि हमारे कई intellectual viewers जो जुड़े हुए हैं लाइफ एक्सप्रेस से, उनके लिए लिंग्विस्टिक्स मुझे लगता है पहली बार वो सुन रहे होंगे. इसलिए मैं चाहूंगा कि आप जैसे ग्रेट लिंग्विस्ट के मुंह से जब जो भी एक्सप्लेनेशन आएंगे वो बहुत ही मीनिंगफुल रहेगा. So what the study of linguistics is all about. Second, why the study of linguistics is not so popular in India as in foreign universities. And third, what is the career or job prospect of someone pursuing linguistics or linguistic program at master and PhD level? क्योंकि एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल सबके मन में आज है. We don't know what does the future hold for us. Because the speed with which the science is making progress, we don't know where we will be after 5 or 10 years. The career flights that our students are taking today will not necessarily land them at the right airport after 5 or 10 years. So we need to have clear picture where we will be heading to after 5 years in any stream. So in linguistics, how do you see the future of linguistics? Over to you, sir.
I think let me take the second question first. The second question is why it has not developed so much as many other disciplines have developed in India. Because if you look at psychology, it started much later in the Indian universities. If you look at anthropology, it started much earlier and did reasonably well, but these days you don't hear much about anthropology. Now coming to linguistics, why it has not developed so much. First of all, as we all know, in the Sanskrit, there is a saying that Trayodasha Varthanam Vyakaranam Adhite. It takes 13 years to be able to study language grammar. Now, we have not had linguistics at the undergraduate level in most Indian universities. We suddenly opened linguistics research and linguistic master's programs in most Indian universities. If you look at Calcutta University or look at Deccan College, Pune, or look at Annamalai University. All those universities began with MA PhD, or PhD first and then MA. The one that I set up in University of Hyderabad, we began with PhD in linguistics, PhD in applied linguistics, and then came to MA, and now there is undergraduate teaching happening there. So one big problem is that there is no base. People are coming from other disciplines into linguistics, and they are bringing their own knowledge base, but that's a big problem.
So you mean there is no early orientation?
There is no early orientation. This is one issue. Now coming to the issue of what will future be like for us? I think the future will be very bright depending on which area of linguistics you're working on. There are some areas which are very esoteric areas, which are pedantic areas, where you will need your lifetime to be devoted to be able to come up with something. And there are some areas where you can quickly get the results and resolve certain issues. For instance, lexicography is a big area, which is the basis of machine translation or machine-aided translation. AI and linguistics, that is computational linguistics, natural language processing is a huge area where there is a lot of applications have been developed in defense, in content analysis, in various kinds of programming, where one can do very well and not that many years are not needed. So there are some areas. Neurolinguistics is another very important area where the mental well-being and mental medication is aided by linguists in a great manner. So there are some areas which are doing reasonably well and which will do well in future. But there are some areas where this has been issue of how much exactly to be able to spend time on, and is there any future for that particular area or not?
Very nice.
It is true that that there are some Western theories which have enriched us. Let me give you the example of your own teachers, for instance, Pushpak Bhattacharya, who brought in WordNet concept from Princeton Lab into IIT Bombay, and now it has spread to many, many other IITs and many other institutions. A lot of people are working on WordNet, and this is a very important area these days, particularly also for the AI in linguistics. But it is not that the indigenous organizations which have depended mostly on the ancient Indian traditions for developing natural language processing have not really worked much. Because if you look at R.M.K. Sinha from IIT Kanpur, Rajiv Sangal, Vinit Chaitanya team from IIT Kanpur, if you look at Hemant Darbarian team from CDAC Pune, and the software that they have come up with in the area of language and translation particularly. And that is something which is a great achievement, I would say, from the Indian setup. That is, yes, there are certain things they have internalized from the West, but they've also given back by basing their theories on, like Anusaraka, for instance, is basically purely based on the Paninian principle. So that Panini is not irrelevant today, has been proven by the Anusaraka software team. So I would also say that even current people like Bhashini Group, which is working out of IIT Madras, or Anuvadini Group, which is working out of Mysore and Bangalore. I think these are people who have been doing quite well by showing how linguistics can be useful and applicable in many, many areas. So that I would say that this is what I can answer in order
very insightful deliberation we have made. You have made very, very insightful, comments on all aspects, I can say. लेकिन एक जो बुनियादी चीज थी वो थोड़ा छूट गया है. मैं चाहूंगा कि आप लिंग्विस्टिक्स क्या है और इसकी परिधि क्या है, थोड़ा उसको मतलब 2-3 वाक्य में थोड़ा समझा दीजिए हमारे दर्शकों के लिए. जी.
दो ही तीन वाक्य में समझाता हूँ. एक तो ये है कि भाषा हर चीज में हमको पाई जाती है, मतलब it penetrates into all walks of life. So whether it is language and mind, psycholinguistics, language and society, sociolinguistics, also sociology of language, then language and mathematics, mathematical linguistics, statistical linguistics, language and artificial intelligence, computational linguistics, language and geography, linguistic geography, or cartography and geolinguistics. So if you look at this language and literature stylistics, so you would look at this language. It's a discipline which can be approached from at least 10 or 12 different angles, and from each angle you are working essentially on the structure, nature, use, and function of human language. So linguistics is a study of this. It's a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary concept which has come to stay. And I would say it has a bright future depending on how exactly our universities take it forward.
Mhm. Excellent. Very thoughtful of you, sir. So, to conclude our interaction, now I'll request you, as usual, I request all our guests, to forward a message of peace and progress, to mankind. So, similarly, may I now request you to kindly give a message of peace and progress to mankind at large so that we could create a better human, a better society, a better nation, a better planet for a better tomorrow. Over to you, sir.
I think very nice idea. We all build buildings. True. My message would be to have as many windows open as possible to look at outside, look at what others are doing, learn from others. Secondly, I would also say that be very fond of ourselves, but I think it's very important to look at others, read others' books, read other language people, translate into and from other languages. And that is how we will be able to know more and more the others, and that's how we can self the other and other the self. Both are important. Othering the self is as important as selfing the other.
Great, great. So, sir, we are immensely grateful to you for your scholarly presence with us today. समय की थोड़ी मर्यादा है, नहीं तो मन में कई सवाल थे और आपको कभी और भी हम इनवाइट करेंगे और सुनेंगे, समझेंगे भी आपकी बातों को, आपके विचारों को। लेकिन आज आप हमसे जुड़े, बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। और शिक्षा जगत में आपके उत्कृष्ट और सराहनीय कार्यों के लिए लाइफ एक्सप्रेस की जूरी ने आपके लिए एक अवार्ड की घोषणा की है, और वो अवार्ड है लाइफ एक्सप्रेस आइकन ऑफ इंडिया अवार्ड। और आपके इस उपलब्धि पर मैं आपको ढेरों बधाई कहना चाहूंगा अपने इंटेलेक्चुअल व्यूअर्स की ओर से। हार्टिएस्ट कांग्रेचुलेशंस। गॉड विलिंग, we shall meet again in some other academic forum. So thank you very much for connecting with us today, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you and namaskar.
LXP Icon of India Award is proudly presented to Professor Uday Narayan Singh for his exemplary contributions to the field of linguistics on 22nd September 2025.
आज के सत्र की समाप्ति मैं फिर एक आह्वान के साथ करूंगा, खासकर प्रोफेसर उदय नारायण सिंह जी की बातचीत से निकले कुछ मुख्य अंश को लेकर। सबसे पहले प्रोफेसर सिंह shared his personal journey into linguistics, attributing his early fascination with languages to his grandmother and his father. His multilingual family environment fostered his interest in languages. Regarding the nature of language, he highlighted that major languages have been accused of suppressing smaller ones, but also noted the rich literary traditions that have emerged from diverse linguistic backgrounds. He cited Braj Kachru's concept of world Englishes and the 49 varieties of Hindi as examples of how linguistic diversity enriches rather than weakens a language. He addressed the issue of linguistic intolerance in India, noting that while some regions exhibit such behavior against non-Marathi speakers in Maharashtra or non-Assamese speakers in Assam, historically places like Bihar were centers of linguistic tolerance. He also pointed out regions like Kasaragod and Goa where multiple languages coexist naturally, and even Mumbai, which, despite some intolerance, has a vibrant theater scene that integrates different languages. On the topic of language endangerment in India, Professor Singh explained that a language survival depends on its use in various domains, not just within families. Addressing the weak popularity of linguistics in India compared to foreign universities, he stated that a major reason for its limited development is the lack of undergraduate level linguistics programs, leading to students entering the field at the master's or PhD level without a foundational background. His concluding message for mankind was to have as many windows open as possible to look at outside, encouraging people to learn from others and different cultures. With those deliberations of Professor UN Singh, we close this episode और मिलते हैं अगले एपिसोड में समाज के एक और रोल मॉडल के साथ. टिल देन एंजॉय योर टाइम मीनिंगफुली, और हाँ, अपना और अपनों का भी ख्याल रखें. जय हिंद.